Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name is Brian Krogsgaard. I am here with Josh Olsowich. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Brian, and I'm here with Brian, the tulip extraordinaire, right?
Tulip extraordinaire. Recently, it's been podcast extraordinaire. This is my fourth time recording this week, and a lot of that stuff has been on our feed. I interviewed the sushi team at 4:30 in the morning, lost my voice. My voice is mostly back today, thankfully. And yeah, I'm doing great, man. It's bull market content, right? We started a new thing. People should go to weeklyopen.com. Right now, it's just a YouTube channel. Josh and I on Mondays are doing a stream with Cred and Don, if y'all know Technical Roundup, and then also with Luke Martin, who brought us all together, actually. So we're doing a weekly open stream, and then Josh and I bring you the weekly close with LedgerCast. So and then like interviews in the middle of the week, me and Kobe doing Thursdays. Like you can't ask for more content than we're giving you, right, Josh?
And I do 4 articles a week for Brave New Coin with videos.
Yeah, just
plus I do 8 videos a week for Brave New Coin, plus 4 articles. Come on now. Plus 2 podcasts a week. What?
This is bull market. This is bull market content. You cannot you can't want more than we're giving you. So just follow us.
We are physically pumping out as much as we can.
Literally as much as we can. Working overtime indeed. It's like busy season for accountants or something. And you know what? Throughout it all, you also have great tools at your disposal, like Matcha. You can go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha. This is a big favor that you can do for us. Because you know what? I learned that my best friends are still like trying Matcha for the first time. And then they're like, man, this is really good. And I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you for months. This is the only way to freaking trade on a DEX. Like, you don't need Uniswap or Sushi or any of the individual ones because this aggregates all of them for you. You just go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha, trade your coins. You can trade any contract. You paste the contract in for a custom one. It'll give you a little warning that says, are you sure you want to do this? And you say, yes, I do. I'm completely degenerate. I want to trade whatever token I want to trade. And then off you go. Or they have a curated list for you. Maybe one day they'll even support custom set protocol tokens. That would be cool. Matcha is a great partner. Go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha. Make your first and best DEX trade today with Matcha.
Something I realized with Matcha that maybe everybody already realized is like if you are in some like jurisdiction legally where you don't have access to certain things, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but it's a DEX, right? So you can get access to things like FTX token or something, right? If it's an ERC20 token, you can trade it on Matcha, right? Like
this is not part of a formal script from Matcha's team.
Not right. Not financial advice. This isn't like anything about anything, right? This isn't legal advice. You didn't hear from me, but it's like using a VPN.
It is an open protocol platform.
It's like using a VPN to watch like Canadian Netflix, right? Like
man.
Anyway, sorry.
Way to go, Josh. Way to go.
I had that discovery the other day.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Ethereum is in price exploration and nobody cares. It's up 3.5%. Bitcoin's flat on the day. Is this just like a little bit of a tease before a storm of the real up move to where I get my steak dinner, Josh?
I don't think you're getting your steak dinner. So we'll start there. So I don't think we're going to hit 2,500 by end of March.
That's what the bet is, the over under bet.
That's the bet.
I think we're going to hit it. We might hit it by the end of February, sir.
But based on what though? That's the thing. Like I need to back up my own statement with I don't think we're going to hit it by whatever, but
by momentum. Once it's clear that it's going, it'll just go. Is that too basic? Is that like too apish?
I don't think so. I still think it's odd that looking at where ETH is at its all-time high price discovery, that it hasn't done anything really since then. But then you zoom way out, like I am on the daily here, and it's like, wow, it's up whatever percent it's up. It's the number 2 coin. Like, it takes a lot of money to sustain that, right? It's got 4% inflation, supply demand, blah blah blah, all the same conversations we've always had. So it's up basically 500% since September, and it's up whatever 1,000% since the lows in March. And I don't know, 2,500 would be the R5 yearly pivot. I don't know.
I hope you look forward to it, and I hope you look forward to our dinner. I hope you've made an appointment for your vaccination.
I'm not going to say it's not possible, obviously, but it's the R5 yearly pivot. We're hitting the R5 yearly pivot in March. It's a lot of time between now and end of March, right?
Yeah. You look like a bird in chat. Great username. Said you should have just said because Path said so. And then Dust42 said Mark Cuban's talking about Ethereum. He's also talking about NFTs like crazy. Cuban is who I was going to bring up in terms of like celebrity investor type, but like think of the footprint of somebody like that. They're not just talking about ETH. They're talking about DeFi and they're talking about like NFTs. They're really digging deep. And Chamath, and then he's like Mr. SPAC in the regular market. These people are very mainstream and they're bringing the hordes with them. The retail signups are at like all-time highs of all-time highs. I think Kraken even said like they wouldn't even let people log in the other day. Like it was like, not only are we not letting you sign up, we're not letting you log in. Not a sponsor. And it's like, because Americans are just desperate to onboard somewhere. KYC processes at Binance US extended out to like 2 weeks, whereas 2 months ago it took like 10 minutes. That's a lot of retail coming in. I think we're going to get the retail blow off. Jason from Telegram, who is Kobe's spirit animal, was on the stream yesterday. He was talking about this Jesse Livermore chart pattern that I had never paid attention to before. And it's like this ascending funnel of something or another. And it kind of it reminds me a lot of the charts that I see right now. Do you know the chart pattern that I'm talking about?
No.
I'll look it up. And I feel it's a grind before you get the accumulation cylinder. Thanks, Grant. This accumulation cylinder is like this grind up before you blast off. And it's kind of this sign of like, it reminds me of what we see in Ethereum, but on the actual accumulation cylinder, not to shill my bag, but it looks a lot like Rook as well, where it's like, it's this grind up before then it just goes ham. So it's like, there's all this demand while it grinds up. And then once it's done with that accumulation, it just blasts off to the top side. And I think we're seeing that on quite a lot of coins. And I think as this retail money comes in, as some of this, like I'm hearing more and more stories about hedge funds wanting access. As they start to get that access, I think they're going to be the people buying our bags and like really blowing the lid off of the rest of the Ethereum move, the rest of these DeFi moves, like really sending, the late bloomers into price discovery, like a Wi-Fi. And I think that's essentially the liquidity event for the early adopters. And then it'll be a little bit of musical chairs as people kind of rotate to other things, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever. But that's kind of my theory. I think we're just blowing the lid off here right in Q1. And then maybe Bitcoin will have its, make everything calm down in Q2,
One thing I'll add to the list of people is Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio being a coin, what is it? What's the name of the conference?
CoinDesk conference.
CoinDesk. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But he's the headline speaker. Like what?
I mean,
that's probably the most important thing out of like Elon buying BTC, like all this other stuff. Like him being on board clearly in some fashion is probably the most important part of this.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of incredible that Bitcoin didn't just go straight to 50 or 60K, but considering all this, like Ray Dalio, I've talked about Ray Dalio on the show for years. I've read his books. If you've not read Big Debt Crises, so good. It's so good. I respect him immensely, and he admits to being a willing and ready learner at all times. And I think he's quickly doing kind of an about face on Bitcoin. And I think we're probably going to see a realization of that as he keynotes this conference, that he's got a more open mind than he used to in terms of the role Bitcoin can play. The words that he says will matter. Those will be probably some of the most important fundamental words that you hear, because a lot of people institutions are going to listen to Ray Dalio. Like, he had the ear of the Treasury Secretary and the Fed chair during the global financial crisis, which he profiles in big debt crises. Like, he's one of the great macro minds on earth. Freaking Elon Musk and Tesla is the hottest company. You're pulling all of these people, like the cult economists that followed somebody like Dalio and his macro views, the FOMO cult of everything Elon Musk, rumors about Apple doing stuff. Like, I don't know how is this mid-cycle? Like, what is late cycle if this is mid-cycle? Or is it late cycle? Josh, help me out here, because this is just like an onslaught of bullishness. And the Chamath cult, it's everywhere. It's like, it's just an obliteration of positive fundamental news.
Well, it feels like it's the bottom of the 7th inning. That's what it feels like to me. So I think we got a ways to go. So just trying to like quantify this. If I look at, sorry, I'm bouncing around. If
No, that's okay.
If I look at the 2-year multiplier, right? We have to sort of ground ourselves in some sort of technical or multiple technicals. So if we look at the 2-year moving average multiplier just for BTC, historically we cruise above 5x the 2-year moving average multiplier for about a month and a half. So we could have a month and a half of just insanity still,
and to put that in perspective, that was, I mean, November 2017, we were at 5K at Thanksgiving or something, or like at the end of Halloween. If Bitcoin really takes off, it could do a 2 or 3x in a couple of months. Like, it is capable of that. If you want to think about what's going to be your DeFi top, if King Bitcoin wakes up, if the storm awakens, it can really put a relative hammer on a lot of these altcoins.
Yeah, so the eventual tops were 2 to 3x, the 5x 2-year multiplier, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
this could get,
let's break that down. I said I understand, but like 2 to 3x the 5x means if the prior all-time high from 2013, so breaching the all-time high was 1,200, and then you get to, like 5 to 7, well, then we went to 20, so you're 3xing the 5x after that. And
right.
A lot of the people that were ready for the 2017 bull market, well, they were out at 5K, and then they were just flabbergasted as it went to 20. And that's kind of your blow off on this generational bull market that we're just absolutely repeating in only 3 years. It's your 100-year storm that you get every 3 years.
Yeah. So the alternative is we bounce below the multiplier a couple times, like we did in 2017. What I said last night is, like you're reiterating, the news doesn't feel like that at all. The news is not 2017 news. The news is new paradigm news, which is dangerous bubble territory, obviously, but it doesn't feel like we're gonna hit 60, 55 and then bounce down, right? It just doesn't feel like that. We're having all this stuff come together, and it just feels like it's gonna, we could 3x from 60K, which is 180K.
I think I like the 250K cycle top. I have previously thought that's like a 2-year cycle. I don't know if I believe that anymore. I feel like this cycle has really sped up.
Big time.
The more I hear about the inflation arguments in the real world, the more I look at stocks, and like they already look like they're in the midst of the blow off. And I feel like I was listening to Macro Voices last night, which they said all kinds of things that I thought were dumb about Bitcoin. But the guest, I appreciated the way he spoke about the way inflation is like everything's okay, and then all of a sudden it's not. And I think that we could see something like that even this year, where it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we didn't even think we were getting 2% inflation, and now we're at 4%. And then you're dealing with yield curve issues and trying to keep rates down artificially as they try to react to that. That was Julian Brigden that was on Macro Voices. It's worth listening to, even though everything they say about Bitcoin is totally cringe.
I saw this. I was looking up stock to flow stuff, and I saw this 100 trillion USD chart. That was pretty scary. This gets talked about a lot, but the echo of this is quite something, right?
Yeah,
And this
that's
is the
scary.
inflation argument. Yeah.
I
So
don't. I don't think we're like. I don't think this is the Weimar Republic, but
no, I agree, but it's just
it
interesting.
can freak you out.
Yeah, for sure. Because in a world where BTC is expensive, perhaps isn't the world people want to live in. Which is scary. It's like we're rooting for the death of the dollar, while at the same time hoping that the world doesn't collapse around us to the point where we don't want to be alive.
Yeah, and I don't even think we're like rooting for the death of the dollar. It's just that it seems like, even if it's not the death of the dollar, it's like a high potential outcome is that the dollar at least weakens a lot.
Yeah. And
Here's a picture of the hand-drawn accumulation cylinder.
I was going to say, Jesse Livermore, the guy who committed suicide and died penniless, that Jesse Livermore, we're looking at his charts.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but yeah, no, it does look like that.
It doesn't end well for everyone.
You can't deny. You can't deny it. It does look just like that.
Yeah, and where those blow-offs are like the craziest part, and a lot of your profit is there at the end. And I don't, I've been trying to think through myself, like how do I know when I need to start stabilizing, right? Like 2021 for me in DeFi stuff has already been multiples more profitable than all of 2020 was, which was very profitable. And it's been, what's today? The 12th. It's been 42 days? So in the first 12% of the year, I've massively outperformed the entire prior year. I know there's rotation involved in that. I know I've been fortunate on some of my trades, but we're seeing massive escalation in market cap and raw price. We're seeing 10x's on coins that happen in a matter of weeks.
Namecoin is up 400% in the past 30 days. So everything is popping off. There is an analyst who I will not name because he blocked me twice despite meeting him in real life. But his group puts out a great analysis of alt season where they look at what percentage of alts are up 300% over the past, I believe it's 30 days, could be 90 days, but I think it's 30 days. I haven't seen a recent chart of theirs, but I'd imagine this is a very clear definition of alt season, which is quite obvious at this point in the game. But when you actually quantify it and you say, okay, what percentage of alts are up 300% over the past 30 days, right? It is a significant portion of them.
Yeah, relative to USD.
Right. And Doge was obviously the weather vane for a lot of that. DeFi was the precursor, but...
And not to pat my own back, but not that many people were screaming for it like I was screaming for it when I was screaming for it, being a January rotation. But that's exactly what we saw is January 1st got the first Doge pump and then off we went. And if you went completely into altcoins in the beginning of January or started building your positions, maybe even December to some degree, then you are up massively, almost no matter what you bought. And that's why I don't want to take too much credit on, I made good picks, because I don't even know that I did. If I just went and bought the blue chip, super liquid DeFi stuff, I probably would have done just as well as I've done trying to be more fundamentally value oriented or something and not just picking the blue chips. I looked at Aave and I said, I think this is going to $500. I didn't think it'd do it in 2 weeks, from 80. And I wasn't around for the whole portion of that move, and it could go to 1,000. But you could have just aped into any of those with half a brain and just be up a fortune and have your best year ever because you just, you stayed in there the whole time and you're 5x or 10x, or you made some rotation of your whole portfolio, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's been absolutely insane. These types of things, they have to have drawdowns. Not little ones. Not like this went down 20% in 2 days and ouch, but now off we go. More sustained drawdowns, more sustained rotations. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't as bullish on alts as you were, clearly, and I never am, never will be, especially early in the year. But yeah, I don't want to be the doomer and gloomer. I don't want to be the Sven Erickson or whatever the hell his name is on Twitter, who's like always calling tops on legacy markets and just continually wrong.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call a top.
Right.
I'm just trying to say, like, if you would be sick to your stomach if you lost 30% right now, then it's worth considering where you would rotate to protect yourself, what you would be willing to bag hold. I would only be willing to bag hold for a 30, a drawdown, because I don't think it's the end of the cycle for Ethereum and Bitcoin. But could some other stuff draw down 50%? Yes. It could even draw down 50% while Bitcoin goes up. If that hurts your feelings, if that hurts the way you feel about what could happen to your bags, then you might want to consider how you think about it, like how you think about your next moves.
Yeah, and just as like a grounding technical thing for that, I just like to look at how many days has it been since something's touched the 200-day moving average, and what is the multiple above the 200-day moving average for that coin. So like Aave is up almost 5x, not 5x, 4x, right? It's up 4x from this 200-day moving average. It hasn't touched the 200-day since November. A lot of the DeFi stuff sort of pulled back in January. So it's been 30 days since it's touched the 200, which isn't really much for a lot of this stuff. But
wait, that's the 200 EMA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the correct version.
Well, this is the 20-day SMA, which it tapped on the breach of its pattern at 148. And even when it paused, at 281, it didn't touch the 20-day. So like if you look at just a 20-day moving average, it hasn't touched that since January 22nd at $147. That was the big dip that we got, and then off we went with Aave. So some of these could, and I'm not saying they'll go down even necessarily, but like what if Aave, as an example, it stops somewhere, 600, 700, and then it just starts reaccumulating sideways, going sideways as people rotate their profits to Bitcoin or Ethereum or something else. It'll lose on the relative basis, even in a sideways motion. And that's kind of where I'm getting at. It's like after this degree of move in a short period of time, I'm wondering, what do I need to do to find the next simple trade? This could go up, but it's no longer simple at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. And we could look at things like the DeFi perp as well. And you could see it on, and like it flipped the switch, right? It turned on the afterburners literally at the beginning of the year, which is something you talked about extensively based on taxes and rotating in and out of stuff during 2020 versus the beginning. Yeah, I mean, just look at this, right? This really hasn't pulled back at all. And what's the 50% of this? Doesn't even look that bad.
Yeah.
It
still looks very bullish if it does that.
There's just no words.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's the DeFi Pulse index that is a even cleaner index than the DeFi perp. So this is by or it's on the Token Sets website, and you look where it broke out of it. Like this is clear, just accumulation before markup, right? That it did the whole end of the year. That's the type of stuff that I was watching. So seeing this on across the top, they have a rule set for the coins that go in there, and then the markup, that's $114 to $490. So this is not like every perfect coin. It's like just kind of what meets the criteria, and 329%, but massive markup throughout the year so far. And I've been hearing people say, and so I was listening to Bankless. I really like these guys, Ryan and David, and they're bullish on DeFi fundamentally, no matter what. But when I was hearing them talk about pricing, like it almost made it seem like it could just be this linear grind up all the time, no drawdowns. And it's not the way, I don't think they meant it that way. Like if it takes a 30% drawdown, they're going to be just as excited. But as a trader, I will not be. So I can continue to be just as excited about DeFi, disruption, the role it plays, the fundamentals, and also think it needs to spend like a month not making a new high or 2 months not making a new high. And if Bitcoin's making new highs at the same time, or if Ethereum's going, making its move, because a lot of this is Ethereum being sold to buy DeFi tokens on places like Mancha. So that's sell pressure on Ethereum. Well, when when Ethereum's the easiest bet and it's the most liquid, then that's what pushes Ethereum to 3K. It needs a lot of money to do it. Where's a lot of money? It's in DeFi big caps. DeFi big caps go sideways, Ethereum marks up. That is like a totally rational trade, bull market trade, large cap rotation. And then what I think is Aave won't be your easiest trade. The DeFi Pulse Index coins, which are all like big cap blue chip type stuff, those aren't your easiest trades anymore. And then the cycle changes and it's maybe Ethereum is your best trade, like from a liquidity standpoint. And then your alpha is in kind of your lower cap or even like smaller mid caps. The speculators rotate too, right? So some of those that have been in accumulation phase while the blue chips mark up, well, maybe they start marking up, but you don't have the liquidity. And you can either choose big cap liquidity, Ethereum, low liquidity, markup potential. Hopefully I chose the right small caps. Those are kind of the two lanes that I see going forward. This is not bearishness, it's rotation.
Yeah, I mean, that's just natural. At some point, we talked about this with the mining as well, but if you look at the ETH fees and you look at ETH mining notional value, and if people are rotating into other ERC20 tokens, so they're selling their ETH, all that is selling pressure, right? So if any of that goes down in some regard and the ETH demand stays the same, ETH will go up in price, right? ETH USD will increase.
Yeah.
And you're right. The rotation game has to happen eventually. People are going to look at Aave and say, okay, it's up whatever percentage on BTC, right? Since whenever. And eventually they're just going to stop buying Aave and start holding other stuff like we're talking about now. It's a harder trade to just sit in Aave here, ideally, than buying BTC or buying ETH, right?
And what else are we seeing too, Josh, is this layer one rotation. So Tezos, nobody gave a crap about Tezos while DeFi was running hot. But then it's like, okay, well, Tezos or whatever other 2017 layer one thing was the easier trade at that point because it's like, oh, this barely went up. And let's mark that up. Let's go to new all-time highs on that. This is not bad. It's a great trade to be in. Like if we start making that rotation for it, or even now, if we do the all-time high price exploration, just like I'm doing with Wi-Fi. The problem is it's giving you a hint. It's giving you a hint that the rotation is on. The rotation game is on already. And the markup on your Tezos or your TRX, because Lindsay Lohan said it, or just because Justin's pumping his bags, or Neo or XLM or whatever else is going up on that kind of that scale type of coin.
Well, we were talking about LTC in the pre-show too.
Yeah,
that's
LTC.
Another one. LTC it's a dead coin. The creator owns zero. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
And they wouldn't say it's dead, but it certainly doesn't fit inside the DeFi narrative. But yet, what you do, just like you have up here, is like, oh, look what Ethereum did. Look at this fractal on LTC. That's the easier trade. Boom, off I go. We're chasing the next move with worse and worse fundamentals as you move on. Or even if the fundamentals are good, like if I say the DeFi lower caps, you're still sacrificing liquidity. You're sacrificing fundamentals or you're sacrificing liquidity for the sake of the rotation. It's giving you more and more signs that the next stage of the cycle is closer than you think. I want to be getting more liquid over the next couple of weeks as this is appearing, as this is made evident to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but that's been my baseline position anyway. So either you're trading large caps like on leverage, or you're trading small cap, zero cap, no cap stuff with degenerate size positions. And you're doing extremely well right now. That might not be the case.
Yeah. But if you want to, like, this is where I am. I am wanting to start locking in having done well. The last thing I want is a 50% drawdown because I've already normalized my portfolio in my head,
Right. It's even though it's unrealized, you're there, right?
Yeah. That's like, I'm like, no, drawdowns are illegal. And so my question for you is, how does Bitcoin fit into all this, right? Because we're sitting here at 47, let's just call it 48K. You could give some kind of, you could give some arguments to, there's probably some kind of little daily bear div on here, but we just marked up after Tesla. Is this reaccumulation before price discovery? We go tap 60K or something, or do you think even BTC needs to chill? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, the fact that we moved up what we did on that Tesla news and haven't sold off any of that yet is
it makes me
kind
feel
of crazy.
Yeah, it just makes me feel like we got another leg here.
It's just so bullish, and even ETH just stagnating at all-time highs. Like I don't know what I talked about in reference to what, but you don't form a top holding all-time highs for months, right? Like that's not a top. So if this can survive the weekend, I think it's going to get nuts next week and into later this month for sure. Plus, it's the what is that festival? Lunar New Year or whatever it is.
Oh yes, the Year of the Ox, the Chinese
Year of the
New Year.
Ox. So I don't know if there's some shenanigans
they're gonna pump Bitcoin.
I don't know. But
there's a sweet spot here, isn't there, Josh? Because we're talking about like the mid caps, but often you sacrifice liquidity. Going to the majors like ETH and BTC. I am kind of looking at this in the middle range, right? I definitely am increasing ETH and BTC exposure. I did that in Tulip. Like, it's public. This is not me surprising people. The largest position is wrapped Bitcoin at 27%. The, wrapped ETH, 12%. Yearn is super liquid, 27%, and just went into all-time high price exploration. But the other kind of category I'm interested in is stuff that is a mid cap, but it's also relatively liquid, right? So that's part of the reason why I've really liked ZRX as an example. It's been around for a while. It fits the DeFi narrative, but it's still relatively a mid cap. And it's pretty liquid. It's like on all these centralized exchanges even. It's not just DEXs. And somebody mentioned KNC in the chat. I don't have a bag of this, but I like KNC for the same reason. It's another DEX. It's another like relative valuation play. They earn fees, but it's not gone up the same as like Sushi Swap and Uniswap have. So you have mid cap and you have liquidity. That's a really nice blend for this rotation trade. If you can capture both of those things, relative value, mid cap with liquidity, and a blend of majors, ETH and BTC, I think if you do that, you can achieve upside if this continues. And you also have liquidity to go fully ETH, fully BTC, or if we start to draw down and you want to, play it that way, you can even get some dollar exposure if you need to. It makes me feel much safer than if I'm just aping, like still going into things that are up 10, 15x.
Yeah, I think it's a more difficult trade, like we keep saying, but just to go balls to the walls into this stuff, this DeFi stuff at this point, right? And that's just math. We just keep talking about it over and over, but it's just like, it's the same simple stuff. Supply demand, something that's up 10,000x isn't going to go up another 10,000x before it draws down. It just doesn't happen, right?
Yeah. What do you got Maker up here for? Oh, is this about the grayscale stuff?
I was just looking around at all of the stable coins, because that's another thing to watch is the stablecoin prints, which continue to just USDC printing has just it's nonstop. It's like 50 million a day for every day for the past month. Like it's just nonstop.
Which this is people showing up.
Yeah, Tether was what, $1 billion print, not authorized the other day. So I mean, it's it's never ending. It's an onslaught of onboarding. Another way to just actually measure that, besides like Norm Macdonald and whoever else is in,
And
it's a way to quantify it.
I do truly believe that like celebrities are just the norm now, and it's not the top indicator anymore. Like everybody knows what Bitcoin is. Like all of my friends, they still like they were adults in 2017. They heard Bitcoin and Ethereum back in 2017. So you normalize one thing, and then a new thing becomes like the top. So I feel like these are all fake tops, right? Like the celebrity crypto sightings. Katy Perry's fingernails don't matter anymore.
That's probably fair. Did they take the WBTC chart off of DeFi Pulse? I was just going to pull it up, but I can't find it now.
I
That's
don't know.
another thing. That's another thing to watch is the WBTC issuance.
Yeah, are people like rolling into WBTC?
I don't know if that was something I was going to bring up. I learned last night that the reason 1inch isn't on DeFi Pulse is because they have like this
Beef. There's a beef.
massive beef.
DeFi Pulse acted like, or they said that they were like physically assaulted, and 1inch said, "You mean when I shook your hand?" or something like that. It's mega beef. Yeah, I don't want to get in the middle of that. I would like to thank 1inch for the $30,000 that they gave me, though. They did an additional airdrop, and I had played Ethereum Wallet Roulette after the Uniswap airdrop. And what I did was, Uniswap, anybody that made a trade, they gave them an airdrop. So I took like 10 wallets, and I was going to do 100, which is now a $270,000 mistake. I took 10 wallets, and I was just like, all right, let's just send some ETH to each one, make a trade on Mooniswap at the time, which was their product, and then hopefully I'll qualify for an airdrop to get some free Stimmy tokens, is what we're calling them. And I didn't get it in the first one. And I was like, dadgummit, I only got it in the one where I actually pooled. So I didn't get it, and I was disappointed. Of course, it's launched at $1, and I would have sold them all basically around then. Well, this new one, now they're like targeting Uniswap customers, right? They were like, all these new criteria. If you had never interacted with 1inch, then we're going to give you tokens, which was a weird way to do it. But one of the criteria was also, and making some corrections to the prior ones, and some thousands of wallets fit that criteria, including my 10. But now 1inch are like $5, so I got like $30,000 worth of 1inch tokens, which was fantastic. The best stimulus ever. A force hodl of 1inch all the way to $5 each, which I never would have done. So, yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, these DEX airdrops have been several multiples bigger than any airdrop the U.S. government has given anybody.
Yeah, it's obscene. Like if you add them up, yes, and there's some we can speculate on air. Like this isn't. I talked about 1inch publicly before, like trying to game it. If you want to game some more, some of the ones that I've played with are like DYDX, Zapper, Xerion. People say Matcha. I don't think they will because they have ZRX, so I don't know. But like you play with some of these other ones. There was a thread I shared at some point. They put together like 10 of them. Essentially DeFi services that don't have tokens yet, and maybe they'll do Stimmy tokens too. So go for it, man. Rotate it. Of course, you might waste a lot of Ethereum transacting on them and then not qualify. But that's the risk you take. Somebody asked, what's a mid cap? What's a large cap? What's a small cap? I don't even know. I feel like mid cap, if I'm already defined to DeFi, large cap's going to be kind of your top 10, top 15 type of coins inside the DeFi index on CoinGecko. I would put your mid caps, like everything kind of outside the top 20, like Thorchain, like Rune. I mean, it's a $2 billion fully diluted, $1 billion current market cap. That's probably the ceiling of large cap, like Ren 900. Maybe the sweet spot is under $1 billion, but maybe over 100 million. And then under 100 million, you kind of get into the smaller caps. And usually that's going to affect the liquidity as well, the centralized exchange listings. Like, I don't really know what Saffron Finance is, even though David from Bankless told me about it. Well, it's a $178 million market cap. That's like kind of the lower side of the mid caps in my mind within the DeFi landscape. But some of these can be deceiving. Like Hedgex, pretty well known. Well, the current market cap is 175 million. The fully diluted market cap is 1.5 billion. So if you're not staking something like that, then they're inflating against you, right? So it's not like a perfect thing to look at. Cream, 150 million, 750 fully diluted. I would consider that a mid cap still. That's kind of the way I break it down. And then there's the tiny caps, no liquidity, like sub 30 million fully diluted, sub 50 million fully diluted, but maybe like 10 million active market cap, those kinds of things. And they'll all have different types of liquidity, different centralized exchanges. That's kind of the realm that I would put it in. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. So is Doge a small cap and large caps clothing or what? Because it's like $9 billion right now.
Yeah, Doge is a large cap in every way because honestly, you can buy and sell a whole bunch of Doge with a one sat spread, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You got XMR pulled up, which is one of the most bullish charts out there. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, people were asking about XMR. I've been holding XMR since December 2019. So I don't know. I mean, it's always looked good to me. Again, it's all these charts have the same Adam and Eve thing, right? And it's bullish. Like what else is there to say? What else is there to say?
Well, I think what's to say is the USD charts. Some of these still look like they're in that grind up before they really blow up and go to new all-time highs or something. And the trade opportunity there is pretty significant, especially if you throw it up against a BTC relative chart, which fewer people are looking at the BTC relative on these things.
Yeah.
But they look really good. Like this is all we would have traded on in 2017. And you would have been like, oh man, this thing is like totally bottomed, double bottom versus BTC. This is super bullish. It's definitely slamming 100% up from here. I'm not sure if that's working as well anymore because so many people are just USD focused.
Yeah, I mean, the BTC pair is ugly. So ugly.
It's ugly,
right?
but it's reversal-y.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at the 20-day. This is my type of trade trigger, right? It's a double bottom, and it's clearing the 20-day moving average. So even though XMR is up so much today, I mean, I talked about this yesterday too on stream. I'm totally happy buying XMR at 0.004 or whatever this is because I actually do think it's still going to go up here. I just think not as many people are going to look at it. Like more of your old school people are going to look at it and say, maybe I'll take some profit at 0.006. That's a BTC relative gain, even if you market bought it, of 50%. That's a nice trade. It might take 2 weeks to do it. I'd rather take this trade than the Aave trade.
Oh yeah. For once we can agree. Let's hug it out. We can agree on that. Even something as disgusting as EOS is looking pretty juicy on the BTC pair, especially on this washout it had on Bitfinex on that wick.
I have to turn it's so down. I have to turn picture in picture off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to buy EOS. I'm not telling people to buy EOS. I'm just saying, like, I'm agreeing with you that this is the kind of chart that looks really good for some sort of up move, right?
Yeah, it's the type of trade that now exists. It's lessening fundamentals, but whatever. The trade is the trade is the trade. There's liquidity on these pairs. That's really nice. There are still opportunities.
And here's Tezos. If you want to look at
look at that.
People are mentioning Tezos as well, but
Tezos BTC is telling you to go in, even though that USD pair kind of scares me a little bit.
And if you want to try to quantify all this stuff, just turn on something like the Alligator Fractal. And when these EMAs flip bullish, it tells you to go long. When we're breaking fractals here, it tells you to go long. So it's meeting all the criteria for long entry signals on the daily chart, for sure.
Yeah. Does it make you feel like a part of me does wonder, like, are these just going to get smashed, right? Like it's the easy rotation. So are they going to get smashed and then go? Like Bitcoin moves to 60K and then these actually do okay? That seems more likely to me.
Well, it depends on what your feelings are. Is DeFi going to rotate into the majors or is it going to rotate into stuff that hasn't moved yet?
I think people are, this is my gut. I don't know if it's real. My gut says maybe people are trying to rotate straight into these other alts like your Tezos or your EOS and stuff. But now if I was to do it, okay, there was your first like 20%, like off the bottom. But now the breakout trade might fail on the BTC relative pair, because what if Bitcoin and ETH just move up and if people are like, oh, screw that, I'm not messing with Tezos. But then they go to 60, Bitcoin goes to 60K, ETH goes to 2K. Those alts go retest the breakouts. And then you can capture it twice, right? You can play ETH from 1800 to 2K plus. You can play Bitcoin to 60K. And then those hit that next level of tiered resistance. And then you go buy these rotation trade breakout retests, your XMR at 4K or whatever.
Yeah, obviously the slower BTC goes here, the easier it is for those alts to
Yeah,
mean revert.
and I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Bitcoin's going to go that slow. I think it's going to do something first.
Yeah, so it's up to you as the trader to make that decision, obviously.
Yeah.
I
think that rotation will exist, but it's going to not be quite as easy as just straight from big cap DeFi to whatever this rotation is.
So I think we can agree that the upside for DeFi is probably more limited than basically anything else at this point. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, Aave could go to $1,000. I don't think 500 to 1,000 will be near the speed of 250 to 500.
Yeah.
Or the risk reward is certainly not as good. Like the downside potential, like when the music stops, the amount of people that are going to want to take profit and think they have time to do so. Well, if they all think that, then it gets pretty nasty pretty quickly.
Well, have you seen even the exchange tokens? BNB.
Oh, BNB just went ballistic.
Is insane. FTX token is insane. Unisushi 1inch, all those are up. Are we going to see a rotation into centralized exchange tokens versus decentralized exchange tokens?
I think we already are. I mean,
that?
Yeah, I think we already are. BNB went to like 150 or something.
Yeah, it did. 135 at least.
Do we think Bitcoin dominance is going down? Yeah, I mean, it's been going down. Do you have the Bitcoin dominance chart?
Yeah.
It's been going down. I don't think it's bottomed yet. But these things they don't just go like, they go, there's little blips in the meantime, especially in this era of like over leveraged trading where people are losing their accounts on 10% down moves. Like those people just got to get washed out. What's the dominance situation look like?
Yes, sir. I agree. Dominance is at 60% right now, 61%. So I don't think dominance is necessarily tradable. I just think it's a weather vane of what's going on.
Yeah, and also somebody said like real alt season doesn't start until the small caps go. That's where the biggest gains are, but that's also the latest part of alt season in my mind.
And the biggest risk. But
yeah,
maybe that goes without saying.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying is like biggest risk, least liquidity, most profit potential. Sure, you can call it real alt season because some people, they get in those small caps way too early or whatever, and they're underperforming, and then they make all their money at once, and they're like, that was alt season. And it's like, okay, well, like the gains were pretty good, but more liquid before as well. If you can play it all, if you can catch the right rotations, then it's life-changing money and then some. But you don't have to catch every little leg. Like you can make your profit and carry on with life.
Right. You don't have to be in everything all the time, always.
Ethereum does look ridiculously good right now, and I wonder like if this does start to go up with velocity over the weekend. Which, markets love to move like right after our show. Then I want to watch, this can be our kind of lead, right? I want to watch how do the majors in DeFi and altcoins, how do they react relative to Ethereum? Are they laggy or are they going beyond Ethereum? Like if Ethereum's up 4%, are they up 10% or are they up 2%? I want to know that.
So what's your top past 2,500?
On the year?
Just like the next 2 months. What do you think? Like let's say this is crazy bullish. If we think 60K plus for BTC, what do you think for ETH?
Well, remember I was talking about how my yearly target was like 5 or 6K. I think my intermediate target is 3 to 5, and then consolidation. Path was saying that on the stream yesterday too. It's hard to believe. Like, it just depends on when you get that big spike down, like the big retrace.
ETH was at $88
I don't care.
in March last year. I'm just saying, I'm just like perspective. That's all. Like, yeah, we can go to 10,000. Like, I don't care, but I'm just saying, like,
I don't.
insanity.
That's the people talking about the 10,000 stuff. I don't expect 10,000. Maybe at the very end of the cycle, kind of like when it went to 1,400. Like maybe 10,000 is the 1,400 of last cycle, and what I think we're in now is like somewhere like this. From what was that? Yeah, $100 in May 2017. Well, it didn't justify that, but it didn't stop it from going to 400 either. And we broke the high. All of the narrative is there for Ethereum, all of it. The transactions, everything, the activity, DeFi, product market fit, money rushing in. It's the backbone of all that stuff. Sorry.
Infighting, which is important.
Yeah.
Even though it might not seem like it.
Yeah, you need people fighting. You need people angry. You need maximalists of ETH and Bitcoin and other chains like all getting mad and upset. It's just going to help drive the move. When your friends text you asking if they should buy Ethereum at 3K, get out. Or if it's at 4K or 5K. If Brian Kelly's talking on CNBC about like Ethereum's 4K run and, but we think it's going to 8K, get out. That's when you get out. It's already happening. Friends are asking. I think our savvy friends are asking.
I think my friends are asking because they know I've been in it for so long at this point that they know who to ask, I guess. I don't know. Especially with the renaissance maybe, or the awakening of day trading with Wall Street Bets type stuff.
Yeah, and I think that made it have the potential to go a lot farther and harder too,
Yeah, even though day trading has been kind of insane for a long time, it got, multiples of insane.
I think the day trading is, honestly, I think it avoided crypto for a while because it was so good in stocks.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I'll end on is the ETHUSD 1 year MA multiplier, which is currently, so the 1 year MA 5x that is at 2,200, which is shy of the 2,500 value that will be rendered a steak dinner, but historically it's tapped or gone above it slightly. It's currently at 2,200. So if we're looking at like top targets in the near term, I'd be looking at 2,200 for that.
Yeah, I like that. In terms of trades, I'm still interested in, still looking at. I'm not against being in still. Like I keep saying caution, and yet I'm still fully deployed. And honestly, my brain has been preaching caution for a bit now. I still am just going to analyze the trade, but I'm also going to know. It's like when you get on a flight. It's like we want you to know where the exits are.
Well, I say it all the time. It's like driving. Trading is like driving. You have to always know at all times where's your emergency, stop, off ramp type thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Wi-Fi just hit price exploration, broke out of that. I bought here as it just started breaking out, and I bought more up here at the all-time high. And what I like about this, here is the Ethereum flippy dippy thing, where this is historically a great trade setup, right? It's floor, break, recapture. And when I saw these daily candles here is when I re-entered because Ethereum was going down and Wi-Fi was going up. And I drew this, blurpy derp, flippy dip. What kind of words can I come up with for this that are really dumb? I think Wi-Fi is going to go up here relative to Ethereum, back to this level. So 30 Ethereum per Wi-Fi. And that's a trade from 20 Ethereum per Wi-Fi. So that's a great trade. That's a great trade. I don't need $100,000 Wi-Fi to get there, I don't think. I think $50,000 Wi-Fi or whatever is good enough for me to capture that, because then it'll probably consolidate. So those are the types of trades I'm looking for. I'm not asking for 10Xs. I'm looking for liquid, clear trade setups. The BTC pair on that one is a level that it's trying to clear. Maybe it gets up here to this level. So from 1 to 1.5. That aligns really well with that ETH level. So that's basically a 50% gain relative to the other pairs, and whatever that equates to versus USD. I'm willing to be in that trade. What else am I in for Tulip? Ren, it's kind of a similar idea. Like, it's doing very much like Ethereum. Where is it? Down here. Kind of like Ethereum, where it just keeps grinding up on that USD pair. And I remember this from 2017 runs too, right? Like, it's like they're making all-time highs on the dollar, but they're not like glorious. Well, on this BTC pair, this is the 200-day moving average. And I think Ren could just bust up relative to BTC. This is also a head and shoulders here that I like, inverse head and shoulders, and go up here to this prior level. So I actually, what's this gain, Josh? This is why I like Ren. It could be invalidated at any time, but it's why I like this trade. That's a 65% gain relative to Bitcoin. So if I can be in a trade where I make 50, 65% relative to Bitcoin, and that's kind of my last hurrah before I rotate into Bitcoin, Ethereum majorities, man, I'm really happy. Like, after the run I've had, give me another 50%. Oh, baby.
Okay, one last thing I'll say, because somebody reminded me. Link USD continues to break out despite Sergey and company selling more Link than they've ever sold. They're making 137 million a month, at least a month. That's USD per month that they're selling.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of money for anybody. So they're going to run out of Link eventually, but it might take 4 years for them to do it. They're selling 4 million Link a month, and price is still going up. So, I don't understand it. I've been holding it for a while. Let it go to infinity. I don't care. I don't believe in it, but it's just wow,
Yeah.
But you can't deny the technicals there. You just can't deny the technicals. So I like 60 by end of year for Link. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
I like it. I got asked for ZRX Hopium here. I can do it. It's moved. I don't have the full-time chart here, so sorry. It doesn't matter though. It went to $2. That was prior market cycle. This is the 2017 all-time high weekly close at $2, but it's up 4x from where it broke out from. My thing is, I think it's going to go into price expiration. So this looks silly relative to the dollar, but it just crossed the 200-day moving average. This is the ETH relative 200-day moving average, and I think if it can get past that, because on an all-time basis, like, it's just a level it needs to clear. This is the Monero trade. Look, this is exactly that Monero trade we talked about on a relative basis. Slam into the bottom of the 2019 stuff. If it can get past that, then I can think it has price expiration versus the dollar and goes up a level versus the pairs, Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I'm still in ZRX. You have to know where you cut that, like on a relative basis, relative to USD, whatever it is. I really like the trade though. And it's got the liquidity where you can escape it if you need to, you just have to look at it that way. If it goes above $2, it's like, bam, price expiration, just like Wi-Fi. Okay, $2, $3. Hooray. Another 50%. Like, that's awesome. That's exactly the type of trade I want right now. And if I can capture that before Ethereum runs away from me, which it looks like it's doing like right this moment, then I'm very pleased. All right.
Sounds good.
We're going to leave it there. Hey, thank y'all for being here very much. I had a lot of fun. Don't forget that you can trade on Matcha. You can capitulate back into WBTC and ETH quickly, easily, great liquidity, aggregated across the board. Thanks to Matcha. Go to ledgershas.com/matcha to try it. If you're enjoying this, it goes out on audio, YouTube. Please give us a rating and a review on iTunes. Bye-bye.
just run dry in a house of cards. I feel the breeze wound so tight.